Hypersonic missiles. They're so fast, they make your head spin. In fact, if the US wanted to take out an enemy target in China, a hypersonic missile would need a speed of Mach 5 and above to get there in less than 18 minutes. But wait, what exactly is a hypersonic missile? How does it work? What are the different types? How fast can they fly? Why are they being called the future of warfare? Don't miss out. Join us as we dive into the fastest and deadliest weapons on the planet today. In order for a missile to be considered hypersonic, it has to meet 3 criteria. First, it has to be faster than Mach 5, which is 5 times the speed of sound. Second, it has to be maneuverable. And third, it has to be accurate. Now remember, achieving a speed of Mach 5 is no joke. At this speed, the missile is traveling at about 6,170 kilometers per hour, which is insane. And if that wasn't enough, hypersonic missiles can also maneuver in flight, which makes them even more unpredictable. On top of that, they are super accurate, meaning they can hit targets that are far away with a high degree of precision. This makes them a nightmare for missile defense systems because once the missile is launched, it's almost impossible to stop it. But wait, how exactly do they achieve these incredible speeds and maneuverability? Well, let me break it down for you. The answer lies in their engines. And here's where things get interesting. Hypersonic missiles have special engines that suck in oxygen from the atmosphere. That's right, they literally breathe in air. This might seem simple, but it's actually a revolutionary way of propelling missiles. You see, traditional missiles rely on carrying their own oxidizer, which takes up a lot of space and weight. But hypersonic missiles don't need that because they use the air around them to fly. Now you might be thinking, if these missiles use air to fly, wouldn't they be limited to flying close to the ground? Well, you're thinking like a non-expert. Hypersonic missiles can use the air around them to fly at very high altitudes too. And that's just one of their incredible capabilities. Their engines mix this oxygen with hydrogen fuel to create a powerful explosion that pushes the missile forward. And the coolest part is that these engines can operate at hypersonic speeds. In fact, some of them can reach speeds of Mach 20 or more. Now that's insanely fast. And now, you know why they're called hypersonic missiles. Now, you might be wondering what happens inside these engines when a hypersonic missile is moving at such high speeds. Well, it's pretty wild. When a missile is traveling at these speeds, it's basically a projectile moving through a fluid. And this creates a lot of resistance. Now, you might think that the resistance would slow the missile down, but that's not the case. Instead, the resistance actually helps the missile to accelerate even further. It's all about how the missile interacts with the air molecules. As the missile moves through the air, it collides with the molecules. Now, instead of stopping the missile, these collisions give the missile momentum. This momentum is what keeps the missile moving forward at such high speeds. Now, you might be thinking, isn't this dangerous? I mean, how can a missile move through the air at such high speeds without exploding? Well, it's all about balance. The forces acting on the missile are carefully balanced to ensure that it doesn't explode. In fact, engineers have spent years fine-tuning these missiles to ensure that they're stable and reliable. And let me tell you, they've done an amazing job. These missiles are now some of the most advanced and powerful weapons in the world. So how exactly do these missiles compare to other types of missiles? Well, first off, we have regular cruise missiles. These missiles travel at speeds of around Mach 0.621. Supersonic cruise missiles, on the other hand, travel at speeds of Mach 1.422. Now, these are still really fast, but they're nothing compared to hypersonic missiles, which can travel at speeds of Mach 5 and above. And let's not forget about maneuverability. Regular cruise missiles travel along a set path and can't change direction once they're launched. Supersonic cruise missiles, however, can maneuver in flight to a certain extent, but they're still nowhere near as maneuverable as hypersonic missiles. But wait, there's more. We have ballistic missiles, which are also really fast. In fact, they can travel at speeds of Mach 20 or more. However, they don't stay in the atmosphere for very long. They usually reach their target and then re-enter the atmosphere. Now, this is where hypersonic missiles shine. It's unlike ballistic missiles, they can stay in the atmosphere for a longer period of time, and they can also maneuver while they breathe air, so they offer a lot more flexibility and accuracy. Okay, cool. But what are the different types of hypersonic missiles out there? Well, let me tell you, there are 3 main types of hypersonic missiles, and each one is more advanced than the last. First, we have air-breathing hypersonic missiles. and as the name suggests, they breathe in air to fly. These missiles have special engines that allow them to suck in air and use it to propel themselves forward. This might seem like a simple concept, but it's actually really advanced. These missiles can fly at hypersonic speeds for a long period of time. One example of an air-breathing hypersonic missile is the scramjet engine. This type of engine is still under development, but it has the potential to revolutionize missile technology. The second type of hypersonic missile is a glide vehicle, and these are pretty fascinating. You see, glide vehicles don't have engines. Instead, they use the momentum from a rocket booster to glide through the air at hypersonic speeds. Now, this might seem counterintuitive, but it actually works really well. The rocket booster gives the missile the initial push it needs to reach hypersonic speeds. And once it reaches those speeds, the missile can stay in the air for a long period of time. In fact, some glide vehicles can stay in the air for more than an hour. One example of a glide vehicle is the Northrop Grumman X-47C. This drone can fly at hypersonic speeds without any engines. The third type of hypersonic missile is a ballistic boosted hypersonic missile. And as the name suggests, these missiles use a rocket booster to reach hypersonic speeds. Once they reach those speeds, they use their own engines to sustain those speeds. These missiles are usually shorter than other types of hypersonic missiles, but they make up for it in terms of speed and power. So you might be wondering, how fast can these missiles actually go? Well, some of them can reach speeds of Mach 10 or more. Now that's incredibly fast. And these speeds make them extremely difficult to intercept. And now you know why countries are racing to develop these missiles. But wait, there's more. We have more missiles to discuss. Let's talk about Russia's Kinzhal hypersonic missile. This missile is designed to be carried by the MiG-31 jet fighter. Once the missile is released from the jet, it accelerates to supersonic speeds before separating from the booster and activating its own engine to fly towards its target. It has a range of 2,000 kilometers and can reach speeds of up to Mach 12, which is absolutely crazy. But wait, there's more. This missile can also carry a nuclear payload, making it one of the most dangerous hypersonic weapons in service today. Next, let's talk about America's ARRW. This missile is designed to be carried by the B-52 bomber and has a range of more than 1,000 kilometers. It can also reach speeds of up to Mach 5, which is still pretty impressive, even though it's lower than the Kinzhal. Now, unlike the Kinzhal, the ARRW is not designed to carry a nuclear payload. Instead, it's designed to carry conventional warheads. So which one is better? Well, that depends on your perspective. The Kinzhal is faster, but the ARRW is more maneuverable. Plus, the ARRW is still under development, while the Kinzhal is already in service. So it's hard to say which one is better. Now, you might be wondering why countries are investing so much money into developing these hypersonic missiles. Well, it's because they offer a lot of advantages over traditional missiles. First, they're much faster, which means they can reach their targets more quickly. Second, they're much more maneuverable, which makes them harder to intercept. And third, they're more accurate, which means they're less likely to cause civilian casualties. All of these factors make hypersonic missiles a very attractive option for countries looking to modernize their militaries. But wait, there's more. Hypersonic missiles also offer a number of logistical advantages over traditional missiles. First, they require less fuel, which means they can be deployed for longer periods of time. Second, they're easier to transport, which means they can be deployed in more locations. And third, they're cheaper to maintain, which means they can be used more frequently. All of these logistical advantages make hypersonic missiles a very attractive option for countries looking to reduce the cost of their military operations. So as you can see, hypersonic missiles offer a lot of advantages over traditional missiles. And that's why countries are investing so much money into developing them. Who knows what the future holds? But one thing is for sure, hypersonic missiles will play a major role in the militaries of the future. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.